going to be showing you some of these neat chord voicings that you can add to your toolkit. We're going to be looking at major 7th chords, we're going to be looking at augmented chords, diminished chords, and also a couple of cool passing chord methods using chords you already know, such as a 7th chord and a minor chord. So this is in the key of C. And it starts off with some major 7th chords. I did a lesson previously on the magic of major 7th chords that I can link at the end of this lesson. F major 7 is played by having an open first string, and C major 7 is played by having an open second string. Now the little figure I played at the beginning there was just picking up that G note on the 3rd fret first string with your pinky before moving to the C major 7. So F major 7, G, C major 7. Then I played a C major chord and moved it to a C augmented, which if you looked at my last lesson on the Beatles song It's Only Love, featured an augmented chord, a G augmented, and we learned that an augmented chord simply means raising the 5th in the triad by a half step. So if a C major triad is spelled C-E-G, then an augmented triad is spelled C-E-G sharp. So C-E-G sharp. You're fretting the 3rd string at the 1st fret instead of playing it open the way you normally would in a C major chord. And you notice that stair-step pattern, that's true all over the neck. So if you wanted to play an E augmented, here's an E note. If you wanted to play an A augmented, and it would be the same thing if you wanted to start on the 6th string. So there's your A augmented. Where's the C note on the 6th string? Here it is. So just remember that stair-step pattern. And then when you're playing it starting with the 5th string root, you can also have the ability to lean that 1st finger over and bar the 2nd string and pick up another root, another C note, right? So C, E, G sharp, C just adds to it. So again, C major, C augmented. Where does an augmented chord want to go? It wants to go to the 4, right? It creates tension. It wants to go to the 4, which is an F. So hopefully you can hear that tension and how it's resolved by going to the F chord. So I played half a measure of F major, and then I went to F minor. So know that as another trick in your arsenal. When you're on the 4 chord, which is an F chord in the key of C, play 2 beats of F major and then 2 beats of F minor before going back to your 1. It just adds a little spice. It adds something cool to it. So again, from the top we have C major, C augmented, F major, F minor, C. And then when we want to go to the 5, you can use a diminished chord as the passing chord going from the 1 to the 5. So I did, and hopefully there you can also hear tension and release. That diminished chord is it's a tension-filled chord. In this case, it wants to go to the G chord, the 5, in the key of C. I talked about diminished chords in my lesson on playing Let Me Call You Sweetheart, chord melody style. There was a C diminished in that song as well. And if you remember about the diminished shape, we've got first fret on 2 and 4 and second fret on 1 and 3. They basically repeat every 3 frets. So if you have a C note here on the second string, first fret, you go 1, 2, 3, C note on the third string there, 1, 2, 3, C note on the first string, 1, 2, 3, C note on the fourth string, and then back the octave of this. So anywhere you have a C note, you have a C diminished. So you'll notice that the second time around, I played it up here, but it's the exact same 4 notes, just repeating every 3 frets. So, first time round, C, C augmented, F major, F minor, C major, C diminished, G major, and then I just went up the second string. 1, 3, 5, 3, 1, open, and then back to the F major 7 to C major 7, picking up that G note on the first string, 3rd fret. Now I did something different the second time around. I went C major, C augmented, that part was the same, but then I went to A minor. That's the other place an augmented chord likes to go. It likes to go either to the 4, which we did the first time around, or to the 6, which is always the relative minor. In the key of C, that's A minor. So hopefully you can hear that it just makes sense, that it leads you there, that there's that release of tension. The other cool thing it does in this open position key of C is it creates this walk up on the 3rd string. So from C major it was open, C augmented it was at the 1st fret, A minor it was at the 2nd fret. So if we want to keep that going, we can play C7, which you all hopefully know is made by adding your pinky there on the 3rd fret, 3rd string. So it creates this cool walk up. And it still wants to go to the 4. So we went to the 4 again, F major, played 2 bars of that, went to 2 beats of that, went to F minor, back to the C, and as I said a minute ago, just to mix things up, I played the C diminished the second time up here, and still resolved it to the 5, which again is our G chord. Second time around I went from a G major to a G augmented, which is the other form of the augmented chord I showed you in that Beatles It's Only Love lesson. This is the F shape or E shape of a G chord. Our 5 is on the 3rd string, 3rd fret. That's the D note. We need to raise it a half step to D sharp. So it goes from, and then you add your pinky there. It's an awkward chord. I prefer that other shape I showed you a minute ago. So instead of I just went back to... Normally that G diminished is going to want to resolve back to the 1, the C. Hopefully you can hear that if I go... Or up here. And why would the G, the 5 in the key of C, want to resolve to the 1? Well, the relationship, as you can see, between G and C is 1 to 4 in the key of G. And we learned back in the key of C that that augmented chord wants to go to the 4. So G to C is a 1 to 4. So play around with these. You can go back and say, oh, I want to do it with the D shape. Well, we know with the D shape, the 5 is on the 3rd string. And I showed you in the Beatles' It's Only Love, if you're playing the G chord as a D shape up here at the 7th and 8th frets, if you want to turn it into an augmented chord, it would go like this. So if we were playing our progression for today here, we'd go, this is the 1 augmented, the 4, a C chord, the 4 minor, C minor, back to the 1, the G, the 1 diminished, to the 5, a D chord. So again. Hopefully you can hear that's the same as what we did down here. So a lot of stuff today. Augmented, diminished, major 7ths, that little trick with major to minor on your 4 chord, that leading. Cool little tricks today that you can play around with and add to your arsenal. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you're staying safe, and thanks for joining me. I'll see you next time.